welcome to the IDP Hunter podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hungar, the IDP Hunter. I'm joined tonight with Mace, Riney. You guys know him, Cali King 49ers 17 over there on Twitter. We're going to discuss a deep dive of the top 30 linebackers. We're going to break them down inside. We're going to break them down outside and inside, just to kind of give you guys some clarity. We're going to watch some film as well. Mace, we haven't done one of these in a while.
Yeah, man, very excited to be here. Took a hiatus, mental health hiatus. You kind of reeled me back in there, dude, threw the lasso on me. Got me looking at these linebackers. Good bunch, kind of top heavy, kind of mixed bag. We'll see guys kind of fall to like defensive schemes that like kind of work for them, I feel like.
Yeah. That's interesting too. Hey, you just reminded me of what's the movie? Is it The Godfather? Just when I thought I'm out, he pulls me back in. I pulled you back into this universe. Yeah. You've been grinding just like me. We call it mental health. You know, hey, we need a break after the Super Bowl. All those teams that we put into playoffs, you know. I think I had like 32 teams or something, like 27 of them made the playoffs.
Holy cow.
You know? Yeah, pretty impressive. Mostly top three on most of them. But here's the killer, man. By the time I got to the championship, I think I had less championships than I did the year before. So, you know, you break down at some point. You forget the load rosters. You're tired. I know holiday weekend killed me, Christmas Day. So this is also, on a positive, this is also like therapy to us because we can kind of just dump all of our thoughts, all of our college grinding, if you will. I want to show you in the audience what I've been up to too, Mace, here. We're over there in the Fantasy Six Pack. We're doing a rookie guide. So for anybody who has the time, check out the Fantasy Six Pack. We got award-winning rankings. We got golf. We got baseball. Heck, I'm a top 10 ranker every season IDP. Joe Bond was a top guy in offense. I believe he was one. But anyway, check out the site. And more importantly, Mace, I don't know if you remember I did this article last year, Combine Cheat Codes. I broke down this. What's that?
The combine's coming up. It's right here, man.
Yeah, I did this article called Combine Cheat Codes, and I started it talking about Contra, up, down, left, right, BAB, select, right? Everybody loves the cheat code. I broke it down, all positions, what to look for, but you'll enjoy this. More specifically, this year, I took some advanced stats on the defensive side of the ball. So when you get to like defensive end, we're talking about broad jump, their shuttle, their vertigo, and offensive guys are good too. But like specifically here for our inside linebackers and our outside, I break down the weight I'm looking for, the speed times, all the tools within there, all the tools that you want. Check it out. It's over there at the Fantasy Six Pack. That's what I've been working on.
That's good stuff, man. It's nice to see that. If we end up doing a post combine video, which I hope we do together after this, looking at linebackers, it'll be nice to kind of see like the rankings because everyone's kind of they are putting out their first list, right? And then once you start to see the combine and different things, you start to see that maybe the stuff on tape that you were seeing, this guy is faster than maybe you thought, or he has a better reaction time, or better hands, what have you.
You know, it's funny. I'm talking about all this fancy six-pack stuff, but we also work at RPO together, and we, we're joined at the hip. We're wearing our shirts over there at RPO. If anybody wants to check out the #1 IDP rankings out there, go over to the RPO network. Leo doesn't get started till about March timeframe, March, April, but we're out there. We're out there grinding, doing these podcasts as well. Mace, you did this with me last year, and we had an amazing talk offline. Hey, it's great to know all these linebackers. It's great to rank them, which we're going to attempt to do in a couple minutes. It's great to rank them. But, you got guys like, Peyton Wilson, the next greatest thing. You got guys like Cedric Gray, the next greatest thing. What's the guy at the Cowboys? Marfau. What's his name? Marlafu. I was grace enough to have him in my top 10, but he just shot up there. It's all about position. It's all about availability, right? So we can rank them all you want. I don't think that's the purpose of these videos. The purpose is to know how these players fall and what they play and what their positions are. But any thoughts on that, what I just said?
Yeah, no, it's exactly what we were talking about. Is you can put these guys in order all you want based on athleticism, or I have a certain to kind of like veer off, like with safeties. I'm more of a box safety guy than I am a free range safety that doesn't really, not greatest tackler. I like a hard hitting bruiser kind of guy like that. So you can put guys in lists just based on whatever you have mentally, but all it takes is for a guy to go to a crowded room or a guy that needs, more time, or we'd like to put our guys in tiers, right? Well, I feel like this linebacker class on outside end and inside is both kind of top heavy. And then once you kind of get to those middle round guys, kind of like last year, you just kind of got to take the pick of what scheme or what you have anticipated for these guys based on potential. So that's kind of why post-combine athleticism, things like that really come into play, because with the linebackers, kind of like running back on the offensive side, you're kind of looking, all right, these guys are good. They're going to the NFL. Like, they've got most of it down. Are they going to be a fit for the team that they go to? And how long are they going to be a fit for that team? Look at coaching, 100 different things.
You just brought up an interesting point. I like this outside linebacker class as well as edge. I like a little better than inside. You like the inside linebackers a little bit better than I do. So I think it'd be kind of neat if we broke down our top 30, maybe our top 15 inside and our top 15 outside, and maybe at the end put them in like a hodgepodge melting pot, see how we like it. Yeah. But I thought that was an interesting take. Before we begin, though, I do have one question for you. What are your thoughts about the overall linebacker draft class this year?
I like it. I think there's like two like bona fide studs who that come to mind, and we'll talk about in Campbell and Walker. But the reason why I like the inside more than the outside is because I think that there's more guys that are better suited for inside, but could also play the outside linebacker. Not so much edge, but I'm talking like out in flats, covering, moving around, because I feel like the NFL is going more towards like a linebacker like Ivan Pace or a guy like Blake Cashman. I guess, the Vikings defense is pretty nasty right now, so just go with them. But looking for more athletic guys, less than, a big old 80s linebacker with a neck roll, which actually there is one of those in this draft.
There is. Yeah, we're going to get to him.
No,
hey, you know what's interesting? I put that in the article. Linebackers are getting smaller, the ideal weights, and they want faster guys. Like, if you're not getting a 4.7 as an outside linebacker, I'm probably not going to draft you.
That's insane.
You know what I mean?
Dude. That's so fast.
but for linebacker, you used to get away with those 250-pound guys. Now we're seeing guys at 225, 235. Great examples of that. Quote in the article. Joe Bond's gracious enough to let me write this every year over there. But the Combine Cheat Code article, you got Zaire Franklin, 235, Fred Warner, 229, Nick Bolton, 238, Roquan Smith, 236. These guys are top players every year, and they're getting lighter and lighter because they're expected to do more.
But they still play and hit like they are those bigger linebackers. And that's what I really think makes them so special, is that even if that, I don't know, not that Fred Warner messes up a lot in coverage, he's only a spy guy too, but he's so versatile that, and he has such athleticism that if he does get out of position, he's quick enough that he can get back in position and still make a play and help the team out. So
I think a good take for these linebackers, it's better than you think, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good stuff. Like, I'm at the produce store and I'm going through and I'm looking at, the apples, I'm squeezing orange. Whatever they used to do back in the old day, they're squeezing the tomatoes. Why the hell would they squeeze a tomato? I don't even know.
Make sure it's firm. You got to make sure it's not too hard, maybe.
Well, I'm making sure these linebackers are firm, so I'm squeezing them. We're going to get canceled. I'm squeezing the linebackers, and I'm seeing if they're firm. They're good. They're not great.
They're not rotten. They're not rotten.
They're not rotten. Exactly. That was my point, I think. Thank you for saying it that way.
Put them in a salsa. You put them in a batch of ingredients, right?
Put them in a batch of ingredients. There's nothing rotten here at all. Developmental players. Yes. There's a lot of these guys. It's going to take them about 1 or 2 years, like a Jack Campbell types, to kind of sit, stir in the pot, let them stir a little bit. I mean, shoot, that's the way of the NFL now, right? They're developing, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. So that kind of leads me to think that maybe, or here, I'll ask you this. With that going on, and I guess linebacker value, not depreciating, but you see guys going second, third, fourth round really in a bulk kind of. And then you kind of see your runs going. One guy goes, and then 3 or 4 guys will go after him. Do you think with that going on, special teams in college means more than ever? You think coaches are looking for that just because that's the only way they're going to be able to put them on the field?
Yes, if you get guys like Bill Belichick used to do this back in the day, way ahead of his time, you better work special teams to show me you can play, show me you can tackle, what have you. But I think special teams is the purgatory, if you will, to go to heaven. You know, if you want to, that's the next step. But yeah, you're looking for, and that's part of this too. The guys that can tackle, the guys that can work as a team, they're going special teams first, and they're getting laterally promoted. You know what I mean? That's a good point. Hey, back to the developmental players. I can't think of the last linebacker that just straight went in and played. I think it was Quay Walker, and you know, you see how that's going for him right now. You know,
well, even though the Lions drafted a first-round linebacker and put him on ice, kind of sort of speak for a little bit, and you know, I mean, he's kind of getting more reps now, but we're looking for him this year, I think, really to take the reins. So
maybe we'll do a top 30 linebacker class. We'll start the top 15 outside. And again, guys, like I said, a lot of these guys may be stashes for that reason, so just keep that in mind. With that,
also, some of these guys play inside and outside. So, yes. And it's still really early in the game. It's all about kind of where the NFL is going to put these guys. So I don't know. Mm-hmm. Just if you're in the audience, don't be like, that guy's inside. No, that guy's outside. Like,
right.
They take snaps at both places. So we kind of have, like your list, you have a guy on this side. Like you have Chris Paul's outside, I have him inside, but he does both. Or he can't do both efficiently.
So who would your number one outside linebacker be?
Number one outside would be Jalon Walker.
It would be? Okay, so I got him too. So for me, I have Jihad Campbell as my number one. Okay. And you just said it. He's a clear-cut inside, and he's a clear-cut outside guy. He can be inside. He can be an outside. He could be whatever the team wants him to be. In fact, I had him, guys that can't defend, they can be disguised on the outside. That's why I like doing this list. They can put them on edge. As an inside, you're kind of cooked. But Jihad, if he plays outside, he's all these top 5 prospects that we have. Whenever I hear former 5-star recruit, my eyes kind of jump out a little bit. Recruit, not for being a linebacker, not for being an edge rusher, but being a wide receiver. He was very successful.
Yeah, no, Troy Anderson, one of my favorite guys, Alex Van Sumeren in a class. But if this guy's coming over from being a wide receiver and he's still learning, we're talking about like some.
I mean, really good, right? 112 tackles, 62 stops, 8 sacks. He mostly did the sacking over the middle, too. I want to make that comment. Over the middle is where he's getting most of his stuff. So he can play middle. He can play whatever. I put him as an outside. He's an interesting prospect either way. Who was your number one?
What's that? No, sorry.
Okay. I don't know. Who was your number one? Yours was Jalon Walker?
Yeah, so I got Walker as my number one outside, and Campbell is my number one inside.
Walker, I wasn't sure where to put him. A lot of my friends right now, a lot of people are putting him as a defensive end. Yeah. You're not wrong. Side. I put him as my number 2. What do you like about him?
Yeah, so I'm kind of – I think that he can succeed as an edge. He's got the size. He's like 245, 250, something like that. I'm flashing in the A-gap a little wobbly. I'd like to see him have a little bit more purpose. But that's just kind of coaching. So I think that as far as IQ and everything goes, he's got everything that you need for a guy that can kind of fill a role or be a kind of a spot starter at first, or maybe like a young defense. They just want to kind of put him, kind of like the Packers did with Quay Walker. Just got to throw him out there and be like, all right, man, you're a new guy. Let's do this. So I feel like him and Campbell are the only 2 guys in this draft that you could probably want to do that with.
Right.
But he's just so versatile that kind of like Kyle Hamilton when he came out of Notre Dame a couple of years back. The Ravens got him and put him in a multitude of positions and just kind of like gave him overall construction of the defense, figure out what's going on, find his spot, and then now he's doing so well. I mean, not that there's really a doubt, but still, I feel like you can do that with a guy like him. If he's tired, you take him off the field. If not, you find a place for him on the edge, inside, outside.
Yes. You just nailed my thought. I'm just going to reiterate it. He's a true 3-level defender. Okay, you can put him on the edge, you can put him on the side, you can drop him on different versatility roles. So he's got snaps everywhere. And again, I just want to make this point. I have no idea if he plays edge. I have no idea if he plays linebacker. I have no idea. Nobody does. If anyone tells you different, they're not looking at the full case study on this guy. He's got that spy ability. You see it on the film we just put up. He's an athletic hybrid. I'm going to make a term up right now. He's got that Lamar Jackson stopping linebacker ability, where he can just disrupt the play or he can just ease back and play spy. The biggest question is, where is he?
There he is right there with the sack, man. That's crazy.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the edge. Yeah.
I know my tape well. Yeah.
People say they got that dog in him. He's got that frog in him, bro. He'll leap from you at any level.
Yeah, I try so bad when we're doing these prospect scouting. I try not to use the cliches. Oh, this guy can bend. This guy's a beast. Yeah, we know, but what does that even mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah, I can tell you what this means. He's a Bucket Award winner, 2024, given the nation's top linebacker. I can tell you he's a former 5-star recruit. Linebacker that may be disrespectful, but he'd be a top edge, a top OL. And I just wanted to highlight Campbell. I like both of these guys. These are probably my top 2 prospects overall in the linebacker department. But yeah, any thoughts there with Jalon Walker?
Yeah, just the last thought. Just in the time that we've talked about him, and this one game has been on, he has 2 sacks. He's been in the slot, he's been on the edge, he's been in the middle, and he's been on the outside. So, literally, he's doing everything. He's got a free run right there, and bam, pressure. This guy is really good. Texas is a good team, man. So, it's just the proof is in the pudding right here. And if you're not watching on YouTube or if you can't see it right now, you're playing yourself.
I don't have any tape on this next guy, so I'm gonna let you go at it, explain the rationale. My number 3 outside linebacker is Chris Paul. He's a 6'1", 235-pound outside linebacker out of Ole Miss. What do you like about Chris Paul?
Yeah, he did really good at the Shrine. Some people, I don't know, he's 6'1", 235 is what I got on him right now. He played some outside linebacker at Arkansas in 2023. But most of his pressures come out of the middle linebacker spot or inside linebacker or whatever. I don't know. I always put ILB or MLB just from years of playing Madden.
It's so hard this time of year to figure it out. But again, we're doing these videos.
Yeah. He's not like the biggest looking linebacker on tape, but he does pass the eye test. He's quick, kind of clunky though, but that's not nothing that you can't clean up. He does hit good gaps on blitzes. He's got a nice frame, but he's missing some mass. So against offensive linemen, he doesn't get eaten up, but at the next level, he's probably going to have a little bit of trouble at first. One good thing about him, though, is he can play that kind of deep center floater as a linebacker to Tampa 2. He can hook guys with his arm in coverage, though, so we'll have to be broken of that. But I don't know. Anything from 3 to 7 yards is like a free runner. I think he can kind of get on board with, but I think he's kind of better in zone. So he was voted to the Shrine's all-defensive team as well this year. So lots to like about.
Yeah, 54 defensive stops this year. I mean, he thrives covering ground, sidelines to sidelines. He drops into coverage too. He's one of those guys I guess you can label a good gap tackler.
Yeah.
But you're right. 6'1", 235. He doesn't have the biggest kind of frame or the elite athleticism that you'd want in the inside. So that's why I'm kind of thinking he'd probably be better on the outside. I'm not sure. But he offers remarkable high floor. When you compare him to the other top 5s on this list, his frame looks a little smaller, to your point. But throughout his career, he's maintained at least a 7.6% missed tackle rate, which has improved every season. So that's what I like about Paul. Was he your 3 as well?
I have Paul as my 4th inside linebacker.
Okay. My 4th outside linebacker is Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. He's 6'2", 223. Of course, I'm a little bit biased. He's a former running back, highly touted out of high school as a prospect. He transitioned to linebacker when he's at Notre Dame, but he earned a top spot. To your point earlier, he played special teams and he carved them out himself a role. Let me ask you, what do you like about Jack Kaiser?
I like that he can play inside or outside. He's got a killer stance. You can figure out who he is on the field by his he's got a little towel that is hanging off the back of him. But his athleticism isn't off the charts, but he does look pretty swift. He slides his feet. He doesn't cross them when he shuffles from side to side before committing his body towards a player. Pretty good at reading the lineman and responding accordingly, keeping his eyes on the quarterback. He does take himself out of the play by overrunning the ball carrier, but sometimes I think he gets more focused on stuffing a lineman than he does maybe hitting and trying to get off. But that's just kind of when he runs downhill. Usually the first offensive lineman that makes contact with him kind of locks him up. So I'd like to see him do more on that, maybe get a couple pass rush moves, but he could learn that at the NFL level. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. He looks like a Denver Bronco to me. And I started watching Alex Singleton film immediately after I started watching him. I don't know why. So,
hey, he takes a hell of a picture, don't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see him at the Senior Bowl up close. I got to actually interview him.
That's so cool.
He's one of my. This may be a little bit too high for people, but he's in my 4. I'm gonna explain it. Like I said, he was a special teamer. He started out at Notre Dame. He ended up winning a special team of the year award honor. That was in 2023. So he gets to play this year, right? No question, this guy can stop the run. He's got a 4.6 missed tackle rate, right? That's going to grab national attention, right? My only question was, can he or can he not cover? Can he not pass defend? And I wasn't sure. So when I went down to Senior Bowl that whole week, I was watching him. He was one of my players I was keeping an eye on. He kept making continuous plays, pass deflections. He racked up interceptions. I think he had 2 in each practice back to back. So it's something I had a chance to look at up close. So if he can cover like he's been covering, I can see him as a great prospect, as a tweener, especially next level, like, filling a 4-4-3 type of scheme. But I can see him as a classic outside linebacker. So that's why I put him as my 4. I put him ahead of a couple other guys. Like Jeffrey Bossa, he's my 5. Jeffrey Bossa, 6'1", 235 out of Oregon. Another high school safety turned linebacker. He possesses that green dot instinct, but I still have him as a outside linebacker. But he can totally do defensive play calls. With Bossa, though, his impact as a on-field player, he earned himself a second-team All-Pac-12 and a Fiesta Bowl defensive MVP recognition. So just that alone, I had to put Bossa, Jeffrey Bossa, mind you, as in my top 5. How do you see Bossa?
Yeah, really quick, just back on Jack Kaiser for 1 second. Him and Chris Paul, the 2 previous guys that we talked about, Chris Paul Jr., they could both be some combine risers. Honestly, if they show like better athleticism than people think that they have, I think we could see them start shooting up draft boards. The more that I'm kind of learning about Kaiser, the more that I am really starting to like him. The grit, the story, the journey, and also the ability. So if he shows out and has a good combine, that'll be really good for him. Okay, so moving on to, you said Jeffrey Bossa out of Oregon. Yeah. My notes on him, so he passes the eye test, obviously. He's swift when reading and reacting to the outside run, so much that he has the ability to track down and meet the ball carry on the outside of the line. Even if it is for a small gain, he still really holds up there. Nice acceleration when moving towards the ball carrier. I didn't see him, though. I watched film against Ohio State, and he wasn't in a lot of the goal line formations. So I don't know if that was just because the drives were so long or what was going on with that. Oregon likes to rotate their guys, I think, anyways. So also, he does kind of have a tendency to get caught up in dancing at the line of scrimmage behind like a mound of players. I don't know if he's like trying to jump up to like see what's going on or like whatever. I'd like to kind of see him have more purpose, less choppiness. Let's see. He seems more of a finesse blitzer than an in-your-face, hit the gap hard blitzer. I kind of tend to like the more of the guys that just kind of, try to close the hole and figure it out later. He can be stale as pond water when changing direction. That's kind of rude, but with his plant foot. His plant foot kind of like sometimes when he goes to plant, he'll do the whole like Scooby-Doo, like scoot, 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 and then have to like keep going. So working on that, but he does have a really good wrap-up tackle. I don't have a draft position for him. Like I said, I've kind of been having trouble listing these guys in an order. Right. But I do have him as an inside. I think it's like inside 9.
Gotcha. For my 6, 7, and 8, I'm just gonna tell them to you now, and you can take them out of order if you like. But I got number 6 Barrett Carter, number 7 Nick Martin, and number 8 Cody Simon. And I'll explain the rationale. I don't have tape on him, unfortunately, but Barrett Carter, he's 6'1", 225 out of Clemson. I got him higher in this tier simply because he's a former 5-star recruit, 81 tackles, 4 sacks on the season. If you look at his college tape, he gets exposed in pass coverage. That's why I got him a little bit lower than the rest of the industry right now. But he's got pass rusher moves. You can get away with that on the outside. You can put some guy on the edge, like I was saying earlier in the show. He's a pure rush passer, and he's going to have great PFF. He's going to have great skills. Case study to show you here is his 2022 to 2024. If you look at his full body of work, those 13 sacks, 61 pressures, somebody's going to draft him. Somebody's going to draft him high. His PFF is high, like I was saying, but be careful here. When you look at those high grades, and you're considering him as a first rounder, just be careful because there's coverage concerns. He's gone down each of the last 3 seasons, and he's not improving in coverage. So I got him dropped down in my rankings. Teams are going to need to disguise him in the next level. God forbid he gets drafted into the wrong team scheme. But that's my thoughts on a Barrett Carter. Do you see it any different?
Just in a way that I'm more hopeful. All right, so like you said, they're going to have to mask or hide his inability in coverage, and I do agree with that. And like you said, you can put someone on the outside, put him in the flats, give him a tight end or running back responsibility, and maybe he's one of those guys that if he does test well in athleticism, I think it's something that teams overlook and they think that they can fix. I think one of his coverage problems, though, I have here written down, that linebacker dead zone, man, and that's 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage on the offensive side to 3 or 4 yards on the defensive line of scrimmage. He kind of gets sucked up there, so drag routes and things always get dumped behind him. Honestly, though, if he went to Tampa Bay, he could play. They have that 3-man and then the 2 outside linebackers. I think he could probably excel being an outside linebacker there. I don't know if he'd have to put on more mass or get some more pass rushing moves. I was looking at him more as like an outside linebacker to maybe come inside and cover at times. But he can shuffle around and stop movement once he hits the hole. He's looking for more purpose or intent without just finding the intent and then going. So I don't want to say this guy's a real wild card, but I don't know. Just kind of watching him, I'd like to get a little bit more film on him and kind of really actually take a look. But I am interested to see what he does with Combine.
These 6 through 8, there's a lot of greatness, but it's but.
Same thing with number 7. I got Nick Martin. Like I was telling you, he's only 6 foot, 220 Oklahoma. I'm not a sizist here, but there's concern. He's a little lower considering he's one of the industry's top players. He has a potential to crack, top 5, top 6, but at 6 foot, it's possibly undersized. I hate to keep going there with these guys, but his pass coverage is average. So you're likely going to get a pass rusher out of him next level. He's a great athlete, don't get me wrong. 29 defensive stops, 49 tackles, 9 pressures. You don't just get that waking up in the morning. You got to earn that, right? Did all that playing from the outside. So he's a true outside kind of guy. He only played 5 games, though. That's another concern. He went down due to injury. Nick Martin has a couple seasons of this. He's got 2 seasons. You have to go back 2 seasons, all the way back to 2023 to see his full story when he was all Big 12. I got to take a closer look at him at the Senior Bowl. He did showcase some good closing speed. Made a couple tackles down there too. So he can play, but I got him all the way down here at 7. Any thoughts?
Yeah, do you does he look like he's rehabbed well and he's
yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, because it was an MCL sprain. So that was my concern, is like you said, everything. He only played 5 games, yada yada yada. But back in 2023 was the only year that he had, a decent amount of snaps. He logged 930. And I think it's just kind of a tale of him getting injured. I think he can do it. I think he would have been a highly touted linebacker otherwise. The only conversation I guess you have is the height. But I don't know. As long as they're over 6 foot, I don't really think it's that big of a deal if they can cover. So he has another year of eligibility. He's still declared. So I don't know. What he had this year, though, he had, 49 tackles and 7.5 for loss, a sack or 2. So the production's there, man. It's just I got him going anywhere from the 5th to undrafted just because of the injury and the concerns.
So here's the thing. It's lying season, though, too. When we go to Combine, we're going to see a lot of guys are taller than they usually are, or they might weigh a little less. When we go to Combine, we're going to get official numbers. Because, again, I said he's only 6 foot. In person, he made multiple tackles. He showed me he's got speed. He looked a lot taller than that. I wish I could have, when I was interviewing these guys, I wish I could have got a measuring stick. What is that when you're measuring the height and weight? I forget what that machine's called. I'd love to just go and just see. You
have someone up, running up behind you with tape. Excuse me, hold on. All right.
But yeah, those are my only concerns. He's coming off injuries, and like I said, I don't have him high as everyone else. And here's another guy that people have high, and I got him all the way here at 8. Cody Simon, 6'2", 235, Ohio State. Kind of came out of nowhere, right? He was a backup last year. And all of a sudden, he's become one of the hotter prospects in this whole entire draft class, not just outside, but he's coming off a 100 tackle season, 8 sacks, 20 pressures, not to mention a national championship. So he's, where he was the MVP of the game. So you're going to hear a lot of Cody Simon hype. The hype is real. He's just a late bloomer out of college, largely due to his own injuries, just like 6 through 8's like my injury list question mark,
Yeah.
But he did not transfer. He stayed with the same team, and it paid off for him. So good for him. When I looked at him up close, I look at him, I profile him as an effective spy. Like he diagnoses plays quickly. So I can see him definitely moving up outside the top 8, but I didn't know how to call it. Like I said, it's so early in the year, but these are my top 8 guys with rationale,
Yeah. So with Simon, like you said, he kind of did come out of nowhere. And I think NFL teams are kind of look like what took so long. It is nice that, he did really show out the last season. A name that comes to mind, not that like profile wise, but kind of just like the same deal as far as like Junior Colson. He kind of just was like, oh, okay, this is a linebacker that's now on the scene. He led this team to a championship, and now he's going to be one of the top solid guys. So maybe that's kind of where the mindset is coming from. He is very versatile, but I don't think he's like elite at any one of the linebacker positions. So we'll have some to go there. Well, like we said, doesn't have much starting experience. Sorry, my notes right here. And then he's got to get off blocks a little bit better. But one of those guys that you're just going to see at the combine, if he does show out, he's going to be a hot name.
So with every list, there usually comes a hot debate, right? Oh, I like this guy. I don't like this guy. We're here at 9, and I got a guy I like. You got a guy not so much. Feel free to open this up, but let me tell you about my number 9, Sean Dolick, okay? Sean Dolick now, he's a numbers guy, and I know you can't take these numbers with you to the pros. I get it, but the thing I like about numbers is it shows you what kind of player he is. For starters, he's 6'3", 220. I just like that 6'3", 220 unicorn profile they call it. But he's a former 5-star recruit. There I go with the stars again, right? I like that. He has the pedigree, right? There's a lot of talent here, as you can see on the film. He left a little bit on the playing field. I'm not going to lie. To be fair, he's been playing hurt. But here's a fun fact out of him. Sean Dolick, he led the nation in tackles. Okay, he led the nation in tackles and he scored a record of 168 tackles. He was the Mid-American Conference Defensive Player of the Year award, and he had started his life just as a walk-on. He came on as a walk-on, and he ended up leading all linebackers in the entire country. He was a top 10 player, outside linebacker in his position. So let me rephrase. Sean Dolick was a 0-star walk-on. Mondin, who's our number 10, he was a former 5-star protege. So we got 2 separate players coming up, 9 and 10. I got film on both of them. This guy here was an underdog. Mondon, he was more of a Mondun, how do you say his name? He was more of a underdog, overdog. We got an underdog, we got an overdog. You know what I mean? So Dolick
was a Georgia dog.
Yeah, Dolick, that's funny. Dolick was more of the tackle guy, and that's what I'm kind of basing this on. I had to put him somewhere in my top 10. You know, you lead the darn country with that Defensive Player of the Year award. Come on now. So you don't like Dolick, though.
Oh, whoa, chill. Don't put that on me yet. No, just kind of you talking about him there with some of that background. I like the underdog guys, so that's kind of nice to see. I don't think he's horrible. It's just like you said, sometimes he leaves more to be desired. I had that he was only 6'1", but if he's 6'3", that's really nice, and that kind of bumps him up a little bit. He is a really aggressive player. What he lacks in speed, he makes up for with IQ, intensity, and heart. He can play inside linebacker, but I think he would be most natural as an outside backer. He's pretty good at reading his keys, but he's a tad slow at motion reading handoff, RPO, things like that. So that kind of slowness and with the NFL where it's at, I think he might have to start off on special teams. He doesn't play any games when he blitzes, man. He hits the gap hard. I said earlier, like guys that do that. His biggest downfall is his athleticism, but he could test out. We'll see. Running back, tight end is mainly what he did in coverage, responsibility-wise. And he had 2 years with 80-plus snaps in 3 seasons with Buffalo. Total 5 years at Buffalo. His level of play also wasn't amazing, but I don't know. He's one of those guys that I think could be a later guy that ends up kind of paving out a role, maybe like I don't know, not size-wise, but like a Pace who went undrafted and then it's kind of making noise.
Right. And I think on that note, just to be clear, the 5-star recruit I was talking about earlier, how do you say the name? Shmail Mondon or SMA?
Shmail Mondon Jr. That's how I say it.
How do you say it?
Shmail Mondon Jr.
Yeah, these names are going to kill me, and I already know. I get drugged for these
I'm not the
names all
best
time.
at pronunciation, so.
He's your 6'3", 220 former 5-star. I said he got hurt earlier in the year. He can play Mike linebacker 3-4 too. Gap control, you can see it all over his tape. Gap control is the key with him. Can play edge, play pass rusher. He's a capable blitzer. I think he'd be a value pick. That's why I put him in my top 10. You know, maybe the stats don't show it, but he can be a value pick next level.
Yeah, I don't know. I like him mostly when he plays inside backer, but with that said, I feel like he's not the fastest linebacker in the class. So, like, his coverage concerns might kind of come up. He's a taller guy, so that's good. And he was asked to play outside on 3-man lineman fronts. So I kind of think that's where he would be best. I want to see his combine. Also, I think he has some processing issues as far as RPO and things like that. So had a couple guys, like when you have Walker next to you, I'm not going to say things are easier, but you're not exactly the guy that everyone's looking to stop. So you kind of have a free range to do things. So I don't know. I'm not like hating on him or anything. I have him as my outside 4, but that's just because guys like Nick Martin and Colin Oliver were injured. I don't really know what's up with them. I didn't go to the Senior Bowl. So good. I think he's got potential, but.
So with Oliver, some people got him as an edge. I got him as an OL linebacker. You got him as an outside linebacker too, huh?
Yeah, I have him as an outside linebacker.
Yeah, for our honorable mentions here from 11 to 15, I got Oliver in there. Here, what I'll do is I'll just read you the outside linebacker. Number 11, I got Karen Reed, 6'1", 226 out of Utah. Number 12, I got is Colin Oliver. Number 13, I got is David Gabina. Number 14, I have Eugene Asante. And number 15, I got Deshaun Pace. You got any thoughts on those guys in there?
Not really on them. Now that I'm real quick to trail back. Now that I'm looking, oh my God, I was looking at Colin Oliver's like weight and his size. I could see how you could think that he would probably be better as edge. So maybe I need to try to get some film and look him up.
People are I don't have any film on it, but people are curious about that. I still have him as an outside.
Okay.
But
one guy I wanted to talk about really quick was Mason Cobb out of USC. He was the leader of that lackluster defense. He's got really tenacious pass rush. The only problem is he's got a small frame, so I don't really know. His best work is really when he was outside. He's got a real twitch to him, almost like a Hufanga, but more so inside, less like safety, you know. So he's really lowly rated in a lot of places, but I think he's like an undrafted free agent that could make some splash.
Interesting. Karen Reed jumps out to me. Like I said, he's 6 foot, 226 Utah, sure-handed tackler. He earned an all Pac-12 honor twice. He was a first-team recognition, second team. So he's got the stats, 185 tackles, 36 games. 12, I had Colin Oliver. You mentioned him. Likely going to play edge next level, maybe not. He's got he's a 3-time all-conference selection. Ready for this? 22.5 sacks, just 38.5 tackles, 5 forced fumbles. You know, he's going to be a value play for somebody out there. I can see him going like a Steelers type organization. David Gabina in 2017 was a first-teamer. 2017, all the way back in the high school district. Yep. He was a junior when he did it. So that's why I got him deep on my list as a 13. No one talks about this guy. He does profile as a good, hard-hitting linebacker. He's just a team player. So, hey, he may do it somewhere depending where he lands. He could be a practice squad guy. That's how far I'm going. I'm talking practice squad guys. Eugene Asante, film shows he's a decent tackler. He's going to be somewhere, maybe a special teamer. And then finally, Deshaun Pace, the hybrid player, brother of Ivan Pace. How's this for motivation for you? Bruce Feldman's freak list, the 6'2", 212-pound Deshaun Pace. He clocks in at 21 miles per hour. He does a 1.51 10-yard split, bench press 340. Can do 25 freaking pull-ups. How's that to end my outside linebacker list with some Deshaun Pace action?
No, that's nice. I need to get some tape on him and see what he's up to.
Heck yeah. Hey, before we start the inside, I'm just going to read this back to the audience because I know we went kind of a rabbit hole. I got number 1, Jihad Campbell. Number 2, Jalon Walker. Number 3, Chris Paul. Number 4, Jack Kaiser. Number 5, Jeffrey Bossa. Number 6, Barrett Carter. Number 7, Nick Martin. Number 8, Cody Simon. Number 9, Sean Dolick. Number 10, how do you say that name? Shmuel Mondun?
Mondun.
I'm gonna get drug. I already know. Then my 11 through 15, Karen Reed, Colin Oliver, David Gabina, Eugene Asante, Deshaun Pace, and then you had one that I didn't have in there. What was his name again?
Mason Cobb out of USC.
Mason Cobb. And then for the most part, we have the same list. They're just maybe a little jumbled around a little bit.
Yep.
You know? Any thoughts? Any closing thoughts there? I think we handled the outside pretty well.
Yeah, I just want to remind the audience not to get too into this guy's inside, this guy's outside.
Yeah, really. People do that. So that's why
Open your minds. Open it up. See where they can play, right? Unless it's Isaiah Simmons. You put that guy everywhere on the field, but he can't stay on the field.
Hey, what's funny, what you just said, though, I don't get caught up in free safety anymore. I mean, they used to make us do that when we first started playing IDP. Doesn't matter. These guys, they flip them around, especially like a cover 3. You see a lot of strong safeties deep now, so it's irrelevant the positions, but we kind of have to rank them based on how we like these guys. So, with that being said, of course, you want to go to inside? You like inside a little bit better. Why do you like inside a little better now, Sam? I'm just curious.
I don't know. It's just kind of the hotness, man. Everyone gets all frazzled up about who's the green dot, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. A couple of years ago, I couldn't find anything on Twitter about green dot. Now everyone's like, who's the green dot? I'm like, dude, it's about to be March.
I'm curious, is your inside linebacker the same guy as my inside number 1? Who do you got there?
I got Campbell as number 1 on inside.
Do you?
Okay. The other guy you're actually talking about, I think I know who you're talking about. We are both freakishly high on him. There's a lot of people in the industry that are like pulling this guy down. I don't know
who's your 2 out of curiosity.
Higgins.
Okay, Higgins is my number 1.
Okay, yeah. Exactly.
Let's start your list there. I got Higgins tape up. What do you like about this dude?
Let me pull up his notes here. Jay Higgins, yeah, man, he's really good. He's got perfect size. He looks really good. He can play outside or inside. I've seen film against him, Ohio State and Iowa State. So
tackling machine, right?
What's that?
A tackling machine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. If you could put all kinds of labels on this guy. Iowa's defense is actually their offense, so I know he might be able to play offense too.
That's why I said it.
Yeah. So Higgins, he's always looking out for the ball, man. He aligns as the inside most, but he can do outside. He could also kind of do slot a little bit. So I'm kind of curious to see how he tests out, to see how athletic he is, and if he will be put out there. Maybe not an island by himself, but running off the flats, running inside. He looked good in coverage, specifically zone. He had an interception against Iowa State. Forced fumble, too. Kind of like how Fred Warner will go and put his hand on the ball. Higgins kind of not like punch out, but does the same thing. He doesn't come all the way over and bring it down, but he'll pop it out and force some fumbles. Offensive linemen, they get under his chest pads, though. They do give him trouble. He does have good size, so he can probably work on some moves and get off of linemen and stuff like that. He does have a good first strike. He doesn't really play around. I think he will be underrated, but based on his film, I wouldn't be surprised if I see him go in the top 5, and that is why I have him as my number 2 linebacker.
He's a true inside, so there's no flipping this guy around. But Higgins, I said he's a tackling machine. He's like a pinball monster if you had a machine, right? But he racked 171 tackles in 2023. Mm-hmm. This year he had 124. That's 2 years as a starter.
Yeah. His feet don't stop, man.
Mm-hmm. The only critique I'd have, missed tackle rate's 9.4. I like it a little bit under that, but that's still good. Anything under 10 is considered good. At least that's how I play the game. Little concerning, but
I mean, when you're knocking out huge numbers of production, and you can have it a bit higher. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
He's a tackle hog machine. Put him on the field. I like him. This is a bit, both of us are a bit higher than the consensus on him right now. Yes. But again, it's all about landing spot. It's all about what he can do. And you know what? We keep talking tackles. The guy can cover. He earned an impressive 91.5 coverage grade PFF. Snagged 4 interceptions this year. His run defense is stellar, 41 defensive stops. He earned a second team All-American honor in 2023 and a first team All Big Ten 2024. I mean, there's nothing not to like about this guy. If he's not people's number one, he better be close to the top, because a lot of these inside guys, not to tell on your list, but a lot of these guys have problems with pass coverage. This guy, you see it on the film right now, he can do both.
Yeah, I just pray that he's not a Cowboy. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think he's gonna be really good. I think there's gonna be a team that takes him earlier, and people are gonna be like, "What? Who's like? What's up with this guy?" I think he's going to be really good.
Right. Now, I am curious myself here. For my number 2, you might not have the same number 2 I do.
Yeah.
I went to the Senior Bowl, and this guy was just balling out. So I'm just going to say it. I got a guy named Demetrius Knight. That's my number 2. Is that your number 2?
No, Knight is my 5 inside.
Okay. So I guess we'll just...
Let me say this, though, before I go any further. I kind of have these guys tiered out. So at number 1 and number 2, Campbell and Higgins, I kind of have them 1 Bravo, 1 Alpha. And then after that, I got Stutzman, Paul, and Knight all in the B list tier.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can kind of put them wherever you want, but
So for the sake of the podcast, I'm just going to go down the line and talk about Knight. He's a 6'2", 245-pound player out of South Carolina. This is a player that maximized every opportunity at the Senior Bowl, from practice reps all the way to game action. He's moving up people's boards. Don't be surprised if he's not here, come NFL time as well. Don't believe me? If you guys are bored, go check out the tweet I posted yesterday on X. It just showcases his ability. He knocked a running back out, Mace, with just his shoulder at the Senior Bowl. I mean, I just thought that was kind of neat. Since then, I've written a couple articles about him, and now I got him as my second true inside linebacker rankings. You can see the tape. It speaks for itself. He profiles as a true green dot linebacker. He plays exclusively on the inside, which is what I like. There's no reading the tea leaves where he's going to play next level. But, whenever a guy racks up 82 tackles and 54 is being solo, 54 or solo, that's an impact player to me, and it just screams pick him up. The only really knock I'm going to say about him is he's 25 years old as a rookie. Yeah. He's got the athleticism. He's got the high IQ. He's got so many accolades. I'm probably not going to list them all, and I don't want to do him injustice. But let's see. First team All-SEC. He was a team captain award, most outstanding senior recognition, the Joe Morrison MVP, defensive honors. He's an honor student as well. Throw that in there. I think he graduated in literature, media, communication. How's that for a resume? I feel like I just typed up a good resume for him. So
you sound like his agent, bro. What I got,
I'm really high on him, but again, I've seen him in person too. That's probably why.
Yeah. Like you said, true green dot. I think he can do that. He will be 25, so maybe a couple gray hairs, but I think he'll be all right. What is the life shelf on a linebacker? Mostly that gets drafted anyways, unfortunately, He reads the offensive lineman well when he's dissecting offensive play and hits his assignment with speed and force. He does have solid footwork when he goes into coverage, but he puts his foot in the bucket, and it can get him in trouble when he tries to change direction. Aside from that, I do like his footwork. I like where his eyes go and pass. Insanely heads up in pass coverage, and his main responsibilities are hooking flats while getting the running back. He's one of those rare guys that will sit there and shuffle while watching the quarterback, and if someone flashes in front of his eyes, he'll, while still doing that, dissecting, figure out what's going on, and if that person sits in his zone, he's not just going to stay where he is and then go and attack after the pass is done. He's going to go to the guy in his zone. If that guy goes out of his zone, he's moving back to the center of his zone. So those are things that you really like to see. Nice IQ there.
Nice. What's crazy is for the linebacker position, and I wrote about this in my article. Linebackers, speed matters, weight matters, but IQ matters. They're the quarterbacks of the defense. So, when you say stuff like high IQ, that context matters.
No, for sure. Also, when he blitzes, he gets skinny when he hits the hole. Like, he's still going with force, but he's sliding through, he's coming through. It's greasy, it's grimy. He's doing whatever he has to do to trip up the quarterback, bring him down. And that's something that I feel like is very crucial with a linebacker, being able to step out into coverage or be able to go in the trenches and get the job done.
Hey, number 3, I think I'm in trouble with because you didn't list them, so you probably don't like this guy, and I don't have any tape. So the guy's name is
Carson Schwetzinger. He's a 6'2", 225 UCLA.
Let me just present my case to you before you just rag on my guy. He's a true rags to rich story. You ever see The Great Gatsby or Rick Schroeder, Silver Spoons? He's a guy like that. He comes in. He's a 0-star recruit. He played offense most of his career, and he goes on the field. He's a walk-on. He now all of a sudden he emerged this year as one of the best players in the entire country. He can both pass rush and cover. Hence, that's why I got him a little bit higher. I like those guys that they can get on the field, right? Therefore, he's going to play all 3 downs. I mean, do the math on that. A lot of these outside guys we ranked higher than him earlier. Okay, they're probably going to be 2-down players. He's playing 3. My player plays 3 downs. Yours plays 2. I think I'm going to beat you as far as a snap perspective. His tackle ability stands out to me too. So he's not just a 3-down volume guy. He's got 133 tackles, 55 defensive stops. After just learning the linebacker role, he earned a first-team All-American honors in Associated Press. He was a first-team All-Big Ten. That's in the Big Ten too now. Because of this recent NFL data, I ranked him a lot higher. And again, I'm going to go back to that strong correlation I said earlier with offensive guys who transition IDP. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not, but I just think he fits the mold perfectly. Last and final thing I'm going to exhibit B to the audience. If I'm a lawyer, I'm deliberating the case. He was a Buckus Award finalist, so it's not like I'm the only guy not seeing him. But yeah, so I got him as my 3. I'm not as thrilled with the inside linebacker class as you are. You probably have other guys to insert in there. But anyway, the floor is yours, my friend. Any rebuttals?
Okay, so how do you? Is it Schlesinger?
Yeah, Schlesinger. So it's Carson Schwetzinger.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to find much tape on him because he's at UCLA.
That's what I was going to say. I had to watch a full-length game to get some tape on him, which I mean is fine.
Right.
But so this is what I have. Was asked to play deep linebacker in Tampa 2, which he can do. His stance isn't low. I think of like how you have a linebacker who's set, someone like from last year, Peyton Wilson, who has like a very prototypical stance, down and low, looking, then pops up, forward step. He stands straight up, kind of like how Gibbs or like Janty does in their running back stance. I don't know if it's just because he's like freakishly tall or whatever, but that's just how he looks pre-snap to me. He doesn't do a lot of bending or cutting when changing direction, so he's kind of like rounding things off. I think he kind of needs to work on that. He's not really shifty when he does change direction. Like I say, he looks really big on film. Not clunky footwork, but he does lose balance sometimes when he changes direction, going outside, opening his hips. Not sure how much he'll be asked to do that, but if he is going, hook flat and it's kind of at an angle for him on the wide side of the field, it might be a problem. I think he's more of an 80s linebacker than a 2000s, or I guess it's not even 2000s, 2020s.
I like that. Yep.
When running down opponents, he goes to grab shoulder pads opposed to wrapping up. Although when he does wrap someone up, they're coming down. He does kind of miss tackles at the second and third level, but I think that's just because of his hand placement, how he attempts to tackle, and that might be an angle thing. Like you said, we don't have a lot of film, so I'm not really sure. He does also play the deep man on field goal block as well as other special teams, so there's no shame there. He will probably find the field, at least in that regard. He doesn't have much tenacity when blitzing, but he does really have all the tools to be a solid run-stopping linebacker at the next round. Geez, dude, I'm really falling apart here. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to get on special teams, but I think he's really going to need some time to develop. He's a guy that you really are just looking for, like, okay, maybe next year, 2 years from now, you get him more athletically kind of in tune, get his footwork ready. He already got the IQ. He's already got kind of the mindset. So just kind of getting him there, I think. And that's going to drop him down a little bit in the draft.
You know, like, and that's a good point you brought up with the offensive outside linebacker guys. I was like, okay, if this guy doesn't pan out, I can move him to edge. With these inside guys, I'm a little more partial for guys that can cover, because the rest of this list, to me, and I'm going to let you lead this one, and this is an interesting case study about to come up. Every single one of these guys, to me, it's a very good top heavy-ish, and then now all of a sudden they got warts. So our number 4, and he's one of your guys too here, Danny Stutzman, okay? What can you tell me about Danny Stutzman? Because, I mean, a lot of these guys I like, and a lot of these guys were – there's probably people out there that actually watch college, and they're crying to me right now because he was a top player last year. If you remember, people are out there, what? You got him all the way down at 4? Why do you got him at 4? Well, I mean, you can look at the tape yourself. But anyway, what do you got on Danny?
I think he looks like a Romanowski cosplayer, dude. He looks pretty good on tape. He's huge, man. I got him 6'4", 241. That's what PFF has him. I'm sorry, don't crucify me. I know PFF. We'll find out really what he is next
week.
This
guy.
Yep. I know. Yeah, no, for sure, right? Yes, he's green. He's good to go. No, coverage. So, I don't know. Like, he does find the receiver when he gets to his zone in coverage, but I'm like, he is a tad late. Like, you want him to be there a split second. So I don't know if that's processing. I don't know if that's footwork. That's why I'm kind of thinking that if he does get to an NFL room, they can kind of help him out, put him on game, figure out. You see right there, stop, and then he's going. It is the opposite side of the field. But he's, instead of moving around and going, looking, he's still on his toes, so he can go, but he's so up that when something happens, he's got to stop, plant, and go. So
his tape is littered with that, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think
I need to watch the season finale of Cobra Kai. You just reminded me. I missed it. So I'm behind. So don't ruin anything with the Mr. Miyagi stuff.
I don't want to break your heart and tell you that I haven't seen it yet because I'm waiting for all of it to come out. I don't know. Now that I used to be able to watch shows from week to week like the old days, but now I'm like, I can't just stop at the end of a season.
I can't either. I just straight binge watch. In fact, I'm going back and I'm binge watching last year NFL games. That's how much of a loser I am. Yeah. Hey, so Danny Stutzman, right? He is like who they say he is. He's 108 tackles, 55 defensive stops. Yeah. He's an all first team, all ACC. So that's definitely who he is. Mm-hmm. He's got an athletic ability. He's got an athletic family. The father played football. The mother played basketball. Baylor, the sister. Yeah. But again, we're going to announce the elephant in the room. You see it all over his tape. You already his production's elite. He's an above average athlete, but I got a problem. It's that pass coverage. Can he or can he not defend? What is going on? You said, is it just processing or can't he cover? But the question is going to come up to scouts time and time again. The poor coverage. It's going to hinder him from playing more downs. He's an inside guy. Where are you going to hide him? He's going to get exposed. The way the NFL works now with these 3-3-5s or these 4-2-5, it's a linebacker type, right? Mm-hmm. Elite run stopper, struggles in the pass. Can we clean this up next level? I don't know. So until you can tell me, I get it. I see the numbers. They drop up on tape. And there's a lot of guys like this in this class. Can you or can you not cover? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but if you put him next to a guy who is elite, I feel like that would be a lot better for him, give him more area of like loss. But we see guys like, I don't know, older pros like Jihad Campbell last year just getting peppered with targets because they are the weak link inside of the defense, whether it's top or bottom. A lot more drags, tight ends moving out now, right? Kind of in that slot position, more wide guys. So, it's going to be really interesting to see how they try to move him around, or even if they try to move him around.
It's such a weird comp because he does display sideline to sideline ability. It just hasn't really happened yet. And there's a lot of tape on him getting cooked in coverage. So I don't know what that is. So until I see more, I can't put him any higher than 4. Where did you have him at?
I have him at 3. I think that he's really good at anything that has to do with the run. Maybe aside from like getting off of a single block, but that's something that he can work on, I think, once he gets to the NFL level. It's just the only thing I have for him is the coverage.
That's what I'm worried about. Yeah. See, for me, the way I play IDP, I'm like, are these guys going to get on the field or not? I'm just not sure. But he's one hell of a prospect. He's one hell of a taxi stash.
But yeah, that's my only
concern there. I don't want to bag the player because, like I said, we'll get drugged really quick in the comments because people love Stutzman. I mean, they had him.
You know what's going to happen?
Highest one last year at one point.
He's going to end up being one of those guys that has great potential and gets drafted to a linebacker room like the Saints or the Bears, and he's not going to play for a while. That's what I think is going to end up happening to him.
So for my 5, I don't have tape on him, but it's Cody Lindenberg. I don't know where you have Lindenberg, but he's got that green dot defender kind of ability. He diagnoses plays. You can see his high football IQ and instincts. Some NFL team's going to be happy with him. I mean, at the very least, he's in somebody's top 10. I got him as high as 5. What are your thoughts on Cody Lindenberg?
Honestly, I haven't really seen him yet. I can tell you, I know that he's a bigger prospect. I haven't seen any Minnesota tape, so I can't really say, honestly, right now. Anything definitive. I haven't met the back end of the rankings, but that's just because I haven't really got around to a lot of stuff. So
right, there's a lot of guys. They're like, yeah, butts. This is that part of the list, and then 6 is Kobe King. He's 6'1", 248 out of Penn State. King is actually widely regarded as one of the top country run stoppers. His tape shows you that if you look at YouTube videos and stuff, shows his strength and his ability to go back and forth. He counters well, he moves sideline. He has that wrestling background. Kobe King can shed blocks effectively. Not only that, he was considered one of the nation's top run defenders, as I just said, because he accounted for 20% of his team's tackles. You're going to get numbers. I don't know if it's overproduction or not, but he does fit that classic green dot scheme kind of mold. I think a team would, take a chance with that and see what they have. But one of my biggest weaknesses with him, you guessed it, lies in man coverage. And if he struggles in pass coverage, especially, turn his hips back and forth covering tight ends, he struggles there. How are you going to get him on the field?
Yeah, I know he's going to be one of those guys that maybe go outside to edge. He is a pretty bigger set guy, isn't he? So I don't know, maybe that's something that they try to do with him, or do you think he's straight up inside?
I think a lot of these guys are straight up inside here on the list. But again, I can't call it. I'm not a coach. The same thing could be said with number 7 here, Jackson Woodard. People like him too, so you gotta consider him in the top 100 picks kind of thing. But if there's one player that I think that's going to be outside the top 100 drafted that could make it in the top 100, it's probably Woodard. He could end up going to combine and being a draft sensation. That's me just kind of calling my shots now. If you're looking for a dart throw on this list, a lot of people don't know who he is yet, but a lot of people in the know do. Because, he's 113 tackles on the season. He was 2024 the Mountain Player of the Year. Just that division he plays in, if you can get a Jackson Woodard deep, I might put him on like one of my 32 kind of teams and just stash him and see what happens there. Do you have Woodard ranked anywhere in your top 10?
No, I don't. He's one of those guys that I saw on the list. Just going to have to see what happens post-combine, whatever. He's from the Mountain Division, so – or conference.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I know we are digging deep here. Those are my top 7, and you see my rationale. Did you have anybody else higher in your 7 that I haven't got to yet?
I have Jamin Dumas-Johnson.
You got him next.
On him. Yeah, I don't have a lot of film on him, but I saw him.
Anyone else?
Good to go. Jeffrey? No, not higher. Just
okay.
So my guys are John Campbell, Jay Higgins, Danny Stutzman, Chris Paul, Demetrius Knight, Carson Schleininger. I think I got that right. Jamin Dumas-Johnson.
Okay, so we're pretty much on par. Okay, I thought we were just that one guy you were hideous with me.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're good. So 8, if you don't mind, I'm gonna lead with some Jamin Dumas-Johnson. Okay, I like this prospect. You may or may not know some of this trivia I got here, but I love this guy. He's a former 4-star recruit. I don't know if you knew this, but he was highly regarded coming out of high school. He actually ranked as like the 10th best linebacker in the country when he was in his senior year. You know how I know this? Because HBO did a show called The Cost of Living. It was a 4-part episode set. he was on it. So he had national attention already. It showcased his talent throughout, but he actually had a strong 2022 season as well. It capped off a national championship. Got a bunch of awards, second team all SEC. He did miss 4 games due to injury. He gained some weight in the last year since he transferred, so that's kind of why I have him a little bit ranked lower. But despite the setbacks, he still profiles as a speed-driven, heat-seeking, missile type of player. That's my profile comp to him. He can move up this list just because there's a lot of guys that are slower than him. But he's another one of those inside green dot guys. I don't see him moving outside. I see him as a traditional inside. Where he excels, and this is going back all the way to like the show, he excels at setting up his teammates, putting players in the right position. He's got a powerful bull rush, so I can see him blitzing from the inside a lot. And he's got solid enough coverage skills where a lot of guys in here lack. He's an appealing prospect, I think, for scouts, especially for teams that play in a 3-4 type of scheme. I can see him as being one of those inside guys. He's got impressive traits ultimately, so he should land somewhere on an NFL roster. But I do like jamming Dumas-Johnson. That's a guy I am encouraged to look at and probably taxi stash.
Yeah, I do think he is athletic as far as like agility goes, but full sideline to sideline, I think that might be a weakness of his. Inconsistent tackling from time to time, and then just being able to disengage from blocks. But he is really big, so I think he's honestly, I don't think he is elite at any one thing, but I think he's one of the most NFL ready day one starters if he had to be out of these group of guys. So that's kind of why I have him so high. I don't see it as much like, oh, he needs to, kind of work on this and work on this. I think he's kind of got a well-rounded thing going for him, and I think that you could kind of just like plug him and play him.
My number 9, I was going to ask you, Carson Bruner. What do you think of him as a prospect?
Okay, so I do have some thoughts on Bruner.
I mean, he could be a top 10 positional in his rookie class. I think it's a landing spot for me.
That's what it is for me too. I don't see him as a burner. He looks extremely tall on film. He's good in run defense. He can play deeper coverage, but nothing really stood out on film.
Right.
I wouldn't mind seeing him try as an outside backer in a 4 or 5 man front. Maybe run stopping an edge, but he's kind of, I don't know if he has the weight to be an edge. And I don't know if he has that tenacity either. I think he has that linebacker mindset, so he might just kind of be caught in between. I don't really think amazing of him. I don't think like poorly of him. I'm just kind of like, he's like vanilla bean, man.
Exactly. So you see my rationale. He's an excellent green dot defender. He diagnoses plays, and then lastly, he can cover a little bit. So that's why I got him kind of in my top 10. Same thing applies to number 10, Teddy Buchanan. He's got a 9.2% missed tackle rate. That's something. He's a better tackler than most of these prospects that are higher in the entire nation. He's going to put up good numbers probably in the NFL somewhere. And then, my last point to you, his name's Teddy. Come on.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's a Cal guy, so kind of like that. His size is good. He's fairly good at tackling. Just kind of comes down to coverage. And then I think who he was playing, he's going to be one of these later round, I think 6, 7 undrafted free agent guys that kind of go and have to prove his way through camp. I don't know, nothing amazing, nothing crazy. He looks really fast when he hits the lane. The only problem is that he has to hit the lane without anyone hitting him. Otherwise, it's kind of I don't want to say slow, so it's disrespectful. He's not slow, but it's just, I don't know. It's just not as fast as he is when he knows that he has like a free run. Then he's like, all right, I'm juiced. I'm going. I'm hitting that. When he doesn't, I don't know if he's like indifferent or if there's like a shakiness to when he's kind of running, trying to figure out, not thinking and really going full speed at the same time. I don't know. But he's one of those potential guys, and he's also a NorCal guy.
So that's our top 10. Did you have somebody else in your top 10 that I don't have?
Bassa. But we had talked about him in the last
time.
I have him as 9.
Oh, I got you. So we got a pretty competitive list. Hey, let me read you my 11 to 15 and just see who you like in there, and then I'll explain some rationale. I got Greg Penn the third at 11. I got Aaron Smith at 12. I got Francisco Mulago. They say it 13.
Mauga?
Yeah.
I'm with you on this one, man. I'm sorry in advance. I'm butchering it.
And then Tyrene Powers as my 14. Any of those guys in there you like or you want to talk about?
Yeah, Francisco M from Miami.
Yeah.
So he can appear decisive at times in the linebacker dead zone around the line of scrimmage, solid footwork when shuffling. He looks lengthy, and he looks like a future NFL linebacker. I don't think he has enough raw power to take on linemen one-on-one, but I don't think a lot of the guys in this class do, so I don't think that'll hurt him too much. He can kind of get confused on what's going on, and he'll take himself out of the play, but I think with direction, get a coach that'll put him on, I think he can learn more. He'll have to start out on special teams, I think, and learn and carve out a role.
Yeah.
Situational. Hook and curl and guarding running back were his responsibilities in the pass game, and I think maybe not like excelled at them, but I think he did fairly well with them. Big body, big frame. So I think if he has the opportunity, I think he can seize it. He is not the most tenacious runner, but he has been known to get sent into the backfield, so he has that. I watched him against Florida. He had an untouched sack, so he's got the juice to get it done. I'm just curious to see how he's going to test the combine because he is one of the taller, bigger guys, I think, in this class.
You said it, special teamers. I don't see these guys making an impact early on for different reasons. Let me just go back here to Greg Penn. He's the kind of guy he's going to excel in a lot of categories. Just want to mention it here. He's got a 7.5% missed tackle rate. PFF loves Greg Penn III. Scouts are going to take notice of him. I see him as a special teamer too. But Aaron Smith's another one, special teamer, 6.5% missed tackle rate. He's incredibly buried on lists. But those are two guys you can have. I got him as my LB inside 11 and 12s. Back to your Francisco, I got him 13. This is a guy I kind of have as a sleeper. When you look at it, and you look at his film, he stands as a 3-4 Mike. He's kind of one of those guys that's strong against the run. I really don't know his coverage yet. We're going to see. We're going to see in the upcoming weeks how other people rank him. But, I mean, there's nothing buzzworthy yet per se, but I can see him being a good volume player next level. And then my last guy here, my 14, was Tyrene Powers out of Rutgers, 6'5", 255. People like him. He's a solid two-down player, I'll give you that. But he's down here so low because he suffered a torn Achilles during the training last season. Additionally, he's got a hand injury too. That's going to require surgery. So he's a bit banged up. So he's probably going to get drafted. He's probably going to miss an entire season. But he's got one of those big frames at 6'5", 255. He's got an impressive wingspan. He's a natural fit to play inside linebacker. But he's probably going to miss an entire year just to whatever. So if you guys are listening on the podcast, you made it this long, consider him a taxi stash. But like you said, he's likely a special team player moving forward. I went 14 with you. Is there another guy you can throw in as a dart throw, making it even 15?
Yeah, I got 3. I'll just rapid fire them really quick at you.
Rapid them.
All right, for sure. Derek Jackson. I got him at 6'1", 244 out of Kentucky. 5-year player. Best season was in 2023 at 11 pressures, over 85 combined tackles. He actually, what was most interesting about him for me is he has more interceptions than he has touchdowns allowed by his guarded man. 84 total targets in college. So he's got 5 interceptions, only 2 touchdowns allowed. So maybe look out for him as a late guy. RJ Motton. He is a safety, might be converted to linebacker out of Florida, 6'1", 230-ish. 4-year player. He started at Michigan. He transferred to Florida after 2 years. He was a box safety in college, probably be looked at as a linebacker due to his size. He did not have a collegiate season over 500 snaps. So he's still fairly raw. Not sure if teams will like that or not. I think that'll be something that maybe they think, oh, hey, I can mold him, or maybe he's still fresh and we can teach him, or someone's just like, nah, I'm not really about that. And then there's one more. Where is he at? Oh, my goodness. What is his name? Power Eccles. 6'1", 225, North Carolina. Probably the best name in the draft, and that's kind of what made me look at him and give him a second look. He's agile, puts himself around the ball mostly, does everything but make the play sometimes, though. So he's really got to work on finishing. He's not afraid to just crash himself into an offensive lineman. I wouldn't utilize him as anything other than special teams, probably to start, or like a makeshift inside linebacker. His decision-making isn't like horrible, but he's just kind of a step behind. And coming from North Carolina, I feel like he's probably got a little bit to work on there. When moving from side to side, that plant foot I talked about with a couple guys, it comes down like an anchor man. So I'd like to see him kind of quicken that up. But no flashes of greatness, but I can see an NFL team give him a shot and try to create a role in special teams.
Yeah, I had Power Eccles as a dart throw as well. I think he would be a nice one, even out our top 30. Just to recap with the audience, inside linebackers, we had Jay Higgins, number 1. Demetrius Knight Jr., number 2. Number 3, Carson Schwessinger. Number 4, Danny Stutzman. Number 5, Cody Lindenberg. Number 6, Kobe King. Number 7, Jackson Woodard. Number 8, Jamin Dumas-Johnson. Number 9, Carson Bruner. Number 10, Teddy Buchanan. And I was pretty proud of that list, Mace, because we were pretty much neck and neck with the exception of my Carson pick. Number 11, we were calling our shots. I had Greg Penn. Number 12, Aaron Smith. Number 13, Francisco Muwagi. Number 14, Tyrene Powers. Number 15, I like me some Powers, Eccles. And then you had 2 more guys in there. Who were they again?
Eric Jackson out of Kentucky and R.J. Motton out of Florida.
Excellent. So that kind of closes us out. We went a little bit over the top 30. Humor me, Mace, just for a fun little exercise, okay? Mm-hmm. Just for fun. I'm curious because, a lot of people, they listen for an hour and 21 minutes and they got a top 30 consensus, right? If you were to try to put those guys in some sort of logical order, okay? I'm just curious how you would get it. I think I would do some Jihad Campbell number 1, and then Jalon Walker 2, and then I would put Higgins. You would do it the same way, or am
Walker? I'd have Walker, Campbell, Higgins.
Would you?
Yeah, then probably Barrett Carter, then Stutzman, and then Paul.
I'm curious because I think those are everybody's kind of. I think those are everybody's kind of dudes right there. If I was to do it, and if I was to try to, because the smaller leagues, they're gonna have their rationale, whatever. So I think the way I would kind of put it for an audience at home that's like watching us right now, I think what I would do is I would put it Jihad Higgins 1, Jalon Walker 2, Higgins 3. Going back to the inside, I do Demetrius Knight 4. Then Chris Paul, Barrett Carter. That's dealer's choice. Who would you take between Paul and Barrett?
Probably Paul. I think he's more day one ready. I know he's got the size. I just there's a lot of concerns with Barrett.
Campbell 1, Waller 2, Higgins 3, Knight 4. Paul then Carter, or you go Carter then Paul? What'd you say?
I would go Paul and then Carter.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then once I get past the 6, I'm calling my shots. Then I would do a Stutzman. I like Carson there. You like Bossa. Then the Barrett Carters, the Nick Martins. I think that would be a good little tracker for my audience. I think that is going to be my top 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's my top 10. And then 11 would be Martin, Simon, maybe the Mondoons and the Dumas-Johnsons, Karen Reed. So that would get you a good top 15 overall if people are looking at it like that. Let me just repeat it one more time for the audience. For those that stayed with us this long, I think our overall linebackers would be Campbell 1, Walker 2, Higgins 3, Knight 4, Paul 4. Yeah, I'd go 5 with Paul. Then Barrett Carter would be 6, Stutzman 7, Carson Schwetzinger 8, Jeffrey Bossa 9, Barrett Carter 10, Nick Martin 11, Cody Simon 12,
and then call your shots with Mondoon, Dumas-Johnson, Karen Reed.
If you guys know those guys, Combine's going to kind of sort them out. But if you guys know those players, if anything else, you're going to be okay in most IDP drafts.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the shorter leagues, honestly, the top 5 list is probably where it's going to be at. And the rest of the guys, you might be able to pick up off other stuff unless you got really savvy guys that kind of know where the landing spot's going to be, or I don't know, anticipate where guys go. And it's all about knowing the scheme, knowing the coach, knowing the player. So right now we're just trying to learn the players, figure out what their strengths are, so then when they hit the defense running, we kind of know exactly, maybe not exactly what the coach is going to do with them, but we have a better idea of what their skill set is and what they're going to be asked to do immediately. Therefore, you'll know how much of a role they have carved out, if they're going to be a sack guy or a tackle guy, or if they're even going to see the field.
Exactly. And hey, I just want to thank you for doing this with me. Again, we do this every year. We kind of profile the players and see where they're going to fall, and then we rationale, and then we adjust afterwards. I love doing pre-combine, which I think people don't do. They wait till after the fact. Well, if you don't know the players before, I'll give you a quick story real quick. We all know Jonathan Taylor, right? They didn't know him at the combine, did they? Everybody wanted CEH. Well, those people screwed up their drafts.
Yep.
Hence the reason why we do so many mock drafts. The quote the great Bill Parcells, this is why in the offseason you lift all the heavy weights, you know? And this is, of course, why we are a #1 accuracy IDP ranking here over at the RPO network, you know? So I look forward to doing more of these with you, my friend. Any closing thoughts? Where can the audience find you?
I'm on Twitter at CaliKing49er17. But the main thing about this is just putting players on the map in your mind, getting familiarized with the name and their skill set, because there's going to be so much, maybe not so much about some of the defensive guys, but like some of the high-profile edge guys, some of those safeties, you know, the top 2 linebackers, Walker and Campbell. There's going to be so much back and forth and misinformation and actual information, and it's going to be hard to sort. So just, I don't know, just stay vigilant, see what the landing spot is, and just kind of get your facts right and get whatever works best for your team and your IDP roster, because every league's different.
Love it. Love it. And I just want to give a shout out to Joe Bond at the Six Pack. We're doing all this stuff over there. We got award-winning rankings for not just football, baseball, hockey, golf. They got everything over there, and they're all award top 10 accuracy rankings. I did an article, The Importance of Each Drill at the NFL Combine. We call it Cheat Codes. Guys, check it out before your drafts. It's a really neat article. We break down the important drills, what you need to look for, what scouts look for, and it's going to help you be a better IDP manager, especially. I added for this year all the advanced stats for defensive guys. I even added as far as going weight. Context matters. We did this video. We did inside and outside linebackers. You see on outside, I like them a little bit longer. I like them a little bit heavier on the outside. And I like them a little bit quicker. You know, so again, there's context between the inside and the outside. Check my article out. It's a deep dive, and it's fun doing these with you, Mace. Mace, any closing thoughts before we close this thing out?
Yeah, just tell everyone to look out for everyone's lists. They're going to be changing. They'll be like, oh my gosh, why is it taking so high? Why is this? Like, you want conflicting views, but you want conflicting views with actual information. That's what we gave you here. We gave you tape. We gave you analysis. You can see our facial reactions, kind of everything here. So if you did stick around for this long, thanks for rocking with us. Thanks for rocking with RPO. Thanks for rocking with
me. There's a lot of jackassery this time of year, is there not? So, like, we want to give you some accurate stuff, make your own informed decisions.
100%.
Talk hard, everybody. See you next week.